Hi and welcome to this live ABRSM and Trinity Aural Training video. And if you're joining us right from the beginning, that's great because you can join in with the interactive little quizzes that we'll be doing together. But if you are joining us a little bit late, please fast forward to the moment where we're live so that you can actually participate. Now, what I'm going to be doing today is using a Trinity style of oral tests, but using ABRSM type questions to go along with it. Now what I mean by that is that in Trinity very often all the questions are based on one piece, and if you have ABRSM questions in an oral test they are often based on different extracts for every question. So first of all, here is the piece that we're going to be using, and maybe for this first time, just as a little warm-up, you could listen up for how many beats in a bar you think there are. Now, please do participate. In previous live streams, it took a little while for people to get going, so if you'd like to introduce yourselves in the chat right now, and then if you would be brave enough, please do add your answers to the question of how many beats in a bar do you think there are in this particular extract that I'm going to play you. Okay, right, now it seems like we have 4 people actually live at the moment, and if you would like to hazard a guess of how many beats in a bar you think that extract was from, please do join in with the chat. These videos become a lot more fun when we have like a little competition going, see who can get the answer in first. So do you think there are 3, 2 or 4 beats in a bar in that particular extract that I just played? I'm just going to give you a chance for people to join in. And as I said at the beginning, if you're not watching actually live, please fast forward to the amount when it is actually live. Okay, one more little playthrough, maybe just the first line. Okay, and we have someone participating straight away, Nini Kaur, who thinks there are 4 beats in a bar, and well done Nini, that is the correct answer. Now what I'm going to try and do with this one piece, as I said, it's going to be like a Trinity oral test in which you're going to use the same piece for various different questions. So you're going to be quite familiar with this tune by the end of this live stream. Next I'm going to play it all the way through again, and this is more of a grade 1 type question, but those of you who are in higher grades, don't shy away from this, because one of the questions in grade 8 even is describe any relevant features in this piece. And it's a very open-ended question, and dynamics could be one of those questions, as will many of the other questions that we're going to go through this live stream. So have a listen to the dynamics and see if you can give me like a dynamic map of the piece. Just describe what happens. All the way through again. So, first of all, did the piece start forte or piano? We still have 7 people watching, so come on, someone be brave. Did the piece start forte or piano? This is like a grade 1 question, but it can be used in even up to grade 8 as the general description of the features of a piece. You need to have a little bit of a musical memory to remember all the way back to the beginning. So that's why you need to think about it as you listening to it for the first time. Okay, we seem to have some shy people here. So, okay, it started forte, and then in the middle section there was a piano passage, and then it went back to forte for the repeat of the opening section. Okay, now, one of the questions that is involved in Trinity is if the last note of a phrase is higher or lower than the first note. And something quite similar in ABRSM is to spot differences between 2 particular playings. So I'm just going to play you these 2 bars, and I'd like you to tell me whether you think the last bar, or how the last bar was different. So here are the 2 bars. Now, how much detail can you give me as to how those 2 bars were different? Was there, first of all, a rhythmic or a melodic change? Did I change the pitch of the notes, or did I change the rhythm of the notes? I'll play them once more. Okay, that would have been, in the absence of anyone volunteering, that would have been a melodic change. Now, the last note of each bar. Someone has already put in. The last note of the second bar was a semitone lower. Very good, Jan Black. Perfect answer. The second note was lower. Okay, now, can you remember the piece? What about the tonality? Now we're going into a slightly higher grade, grade 2. Did the piece start in a major or a minor key? And did it stay in either a major or a minor key all the way through? I'm just going to play you again until we get someone volunteering for an answer. Think about the tonality of the piece. Okay, so did the piece start in a major or a minor key, and did it stay the same all the way through, or did it change? Now we've had 2 participants so far, Nini and Jan. Either of you still with us would like to answer, or anyone else? First answer will get the prize. What's the prize, you may ask? I'm just looking down to my little notes here to see if anyone's actually going to answer. We have Jan again saying it started in a minor key. Well done. And what about, did it stay in a minor key all the way through, or did it change? There's probably a slight delay with the internet connections of my streaming this and you being able to answer it, so there might be a few little pauses, but let that not spoil what we're doing. Did it stay all the way through in a minor key, or did it change? You've got the correct answer, Jan. Yes, it went to the relative major halfway through, and then there was a repeat of the first section, which is obviously going to be the minor again. Okay, now as we go through the grades, we get more involved questions. So this particular piece we can use for all the grades. Okay, and the next thing I want to think about is cadences and chords. So I'm just going to play you 2 bars at the end of the first section. Now as you get to the higher grades, you are introduced to perfect and imperfect cadences. Then a grade higher there's plagal cadences and interrupted cadences in all the how do we say it, the boards, Trinity and ABRSM. So that cadence that you heard at the end there of that phrase, would that be a perfect, imperfect, interrupted or plagal cadence? I'll play it to you once more. We have 9 people actually watching at this very moment, so please do answer. By the way, as I'm waiting for an answer, you might have noticed that we have some new merchandise, and this particular t-shirt is available for you to purchase if you can see yourself in one of these. Show your support for MusicOnline and express your identity a little bit. There is a link in the description below if you would like to get one for yourselves. So, okay, Marco, a new participant in our little answers, Marco is saying it's a perfect cadence. Okay, and Jane is also saying hello, so hello Jane. Right, now you're correct Marco, it is a perfect cadence, and from that, from your theory, you should know what the last 2 chords are, but I'm going to play you the last 3 chords and see if you can identify what 3 chords are used at the end of this phrase. So we're not going to play the first chord, although that is the tonic. So that chord there. Can anyone identify that chord? 1, 2, 4 or 5 are your options. Here's your tonic. Try and hear the bass note. And then, ignore that passing note at the top, but here's the chord. Would that be 1, chord 2, chord 4 or chord 5? At the moment we have quite a few participants. That's chord 4. Well done, Jan. Now we're going to go on to the next chord. So I'm going to play the first 2 again. What is that chord there? A little bit slow with the answers today. It could be just the delay of the internet, but by the way, whilst we're waiting for an answer, can I just also mention that previous live streams, are also available to watch going back a little bit, and there is a link also in the description where you can watch all my previous live streams. And I'd let you know that any comments you make now, YouTube actually publish those comments, the live chat, along with the video when people watch it in the future. So mind your P's and Q's. I'll play that cadence again. And can we have a please and offer for what chord that is? 1, 2, 4 or 5? You should know from your music theory that a perfect cadence is made up of chords. Aha, thank you Jan, chord 5. And then finally, without even playing it from your theory, you should know what the last chord is, but I'll play it for you anyway. That is chord. Anybody? Before I give you the answer? chord 1. Well done, Jan. It'd be nice actually if you could put in the comments what grades you're particularly working on, so I could maybe sort of tailor these questions a little bit more towards the audience that we've actually got watching, okay? But anyway, now, we've heard this piece all the way through a couple of times, but I'd like you to think about the structure of the piece. Now, different structures might be very simply like binary or ternary form, which means I'll come back to your question. All right, hi Jane from Westbourne. Yes, that's one of my students is online, so they know me personally. Or not students, but chord 6, Jan is saying. Okay, let's go back to Jan's question. Could it have been a chord 7? No, then you corrected yourself and said it's chord 6. Okay, let's think about this. Chord 6 in a minor key, right, this is in A minor, and chord 6 would be F major. Now, chord 6 you'll find at the end of an interrupted cadence, and it changes tonality when you go from a minor key to a major key and you get chord 6 at the end. Interrupted cadences in a major key will end on a minor chord. Interrupted cadences in a major key, in a minor key, will end on a major chord, and that is the easy way of remembering an interrupted cadence. But a perfect cadence always finishes on chord 1. Alright? Okay, let's go on to what I was going to ask you earlier about the structure of the piece. Now, as we said, the structure could be simply like binary form, which is like an A and a B section. Then you get ternary form, which is an A, a B, and then a repeat of the A. Then also you get more involved things like rondo form, A, B, A, C, A, D, A, E, like a verse chorus type form. So what do you think the structure of this piece? You'll get it all the way through one more time. Okay, now that was quite a long time for you to have a listen. So, could anyone have a guess at what the structure of that piece might be? How many distinct sections do you think you could hear, and how do they relate to each other? Give it a little moment for your internet connections to catch up with my stream. There seems to be a bit of a delay today, but that's not a problem. Because I said at the beginning that we went back to the beginning. Now, the whole piece involves then a beginning section, then a slightly different, if you remember, it went into the major key, and then it went back to the beginning again and played the first half of the minor key section again. So altogether that makes 3 sections, whereas the first and the last are the same, which would be in what they call ternary form. Okay, right, let's move on. You need to answer a little bit quicker. Now, the next question, some people have a little bit of a problem understanding what this question is actually about. When you're asked to describe the texture of a piece, you could say some simple words like a thick or a thin texture. It's a little bit like how many layers in a sandwich. Okay? If you're a little bit more precise, you can actually name how many voices you can hear. So, can you have a listen to this? I'm not going to play the whole thing again through. Let's just play the second half. It's the same all the way through, the same texture. And can you tell me what the texture of the piece is going to be? Or is, sorry, not going to be. Okay, how many voices can you actually hear? say that's like a tune with an accompaniment, or two distinct parts, or three parts, four parts interacting? Is it homophonic, which means they're pretty much sounding at the same time, or polyphonic, where the voices are more interweaving? What sort of texture do you think that music has? Okay, we've given you a little chance to answer, and I'll give you another 5 seconds. Oh, we have an answer. Well done, Mariko. Sorry I pronounced your name wrong earlier. It's not Marco, it's Mariko. Polyphonic and two voices. Now, two voices I agree with. There is a little bit of independence. So for example here, yeah, got an extra beat in the right hand which the left hand is just holding. But then the next part of the phrase is pretty much everything in line with each other, left and right, which lends itself more to homophonic. Okay, then the next phrase, okay, one little extra beat there in the left. Seems to me they're moving more or less hands together most of the time. Okay, a couple of extra quavers, and then together, 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 extra quaver, and a little link in the left. Yeah, I can see where you're coming from with the polyphonic, but it's probably more towards the homophonic sound, where the parts are moving together, than polyphonic. Polyphonic would be much more interwoven, question and answer. Okay, right, now, period. The four main periods in music are Baroque, classical, romantic, and modern 20th century. I think we've heard it enough times now, although there might be people joining this stream live and haven't heard it so many times as those who've listened right from the beginning. So, can you think now, as you're listening, which of those four periods, Baroque, classical, romantic, or modern 20th century, this piece is from? And to give you a chance to answer, I will play it once more, especially for those who've joined more recently. Okay? We have an answer already, but give some other people a chance to maybe agree or disagree with that answer. Before I carry on, give your answer and then see if you can write down a reason why you think it is whatever you think it is. So we've had a suggestion of Baroque, Mariko. Can you tell me why you think it's Baroque? Okay, some reasons. What features of the music tell you it's from that period? I'll carry on. Okay. Well, in the absence of any other answers, I will tell you, Mariko, that you are correct about the Baroque period. And Jan, it's counterpoint and only two dynamics, ornaments in the right hand. That is correct. Now, adaptive 1, 2, 3, you said the rhythm. What do you actually mean by the rhythm? Okay, I'm going to go back to Jan's comment there, who says that it's counterpoint. Yeah, there is a little bit of polyphonic writing, but as I said earlier, there's a bit of homophonic as well. Now, the thing you said about only two dynamics, yes, the dynamics in Baroque music tend to be less broad than you might find in romantic music, for example. Okay. I'm just looking at the comments and trying to speak at the same time. I'll come back to that comment, adaptive. Right, now, also very distinct about Baroque dynamics is the fact that dynamics are what they call terraced. That means they are suddenly loud or suddenly soft. And there is not an awful lot of what you might expect in a romantic period, like for example crescendi and decrescendi, which started to come in during the classical period. You get terraced dynamics, blocks of forte and a block of piano. Okay, so that's the point about the dynamics. Ornaments is another big thing. Yes, Baroque music is generally heavily ornamented. Of course you do get ornaments in other periods of music, but it's a particular feature of the Baroque period. Okay, now some other things that might tell you that it's yeah, it does sound a little bit like Bach. I'm agreeing with you, adaptive 1, 2, 3. Another thing that you might find explains that it's Baroque period. The actual melodic range is smaller because it wasn't actually written for piano. Pianos didn't even exist as we know them today in the Baroque period. They were smaller instruments, harpsichords for example, which had a limited keyboard range. So for example, if you were playing something up here or down here, that could not be Baroque music. But if it tends to be closer to the middle all the way through, there's a hint that it might be Baroque. Of course, that's not definitive proof because some classical pieces, even romantic pieces, might concentrate in the middle. But it's just an extra little bit of an explanation. What else about the Baroque period can you say? There is a little bit more of the counterpoint, as Jen mentioned. And also you tend to find that the tunes are not so singable. Being highly ornamented and elaborate, the tunes often tend to be not something you'd go humming down the street. Okay, now this one doesn't go too far, but there are some very elaborate Baroque pieces, especially some of the faster ones. They're just not songs that you would sing, they're more showy pieces. Okay, and then when you get to the classical period, tunes become more refined and simplified. You'd probably sing a Mozart tune much more easily than the average Bach tune, for example. Okay, now I want to go back to this steady sounds like Bach that adaptive 1, 2, 3 was mentioning. One more thing is you often get this bass line. Sorry, splotched at the end there. Where it tends to just be dun, 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 a separated sort of beat, not always necessarily always legato. So that's another thing. And that gives it that steady sort of pulsing feel. Okay, let's go on to another question. Now this one is a Trinity question, but it is very useful for ABRSM. One thing I can't do with these live interactive oral trainings is sight singing, because I can't hear you singing back. You can give me your written answers to different questions, but you can't sing to me and I can hear you. So a way around that is to adopt the Trinity version of sight singing. In fact, you might know that in Trinity oral tests there is no singing whatsoever, at which point all ABRSM students sigh with envy. Okay, but intervals is part of the Trinity oral tests, and you have to be able to recognize an interval. So let's try, okay, we're going to go back to that bar we had earlier. Remember this one? Can anyone tell me the interval between these two notes? And by the way, anyone who has joined more recently, if you're wondering where you can get one of these t-shirts, there is a link in the description below. So check it out if you can see yourself wearing one of these and show your support for MusicOnline. Okay, Mariko, it is a fifth. Now, there are various kinds of fifths, so let's be really, let's say, precise. Yes, it is a perfect fifth because there's also an augmented fifth and a diminished fifth. What about the bar afterwards? Do you remember when I said that it goes a little bit lower? Right, now let's take the first note of that bar and the last note. And anyone want to hazard a guess what that interval is? Someone earlier said that the last note was a semitone lower. So if you're good at your theory, you could work that out straight away. This, by the way, is like a very good practice for sight singing, being able to recognize intervals, because if you can recognize an interval, hopefully you should be able to sing an interval, and then some of the awkward jumps that you get in the ABRSM sight singing tests will be a little bit easier by practicing intervals. So, if you go down a half a step from a fifth, unfortunately that active 1, 2, 3, you don't get a seventh, but do we have any more? Now Jan, you just said a melodic. What do you mean by a melodic? We don't get melodic intervals as such, we get melodic scales. An augmented sixth, right. Let's take the first interval there. Now, that is an E, okay, which is the sixth note of G major. So that would be a major sixth. Augmented sixth would be a G flat, which actually sounds more like a seventh. Okay, so we're still not there yet. Ah, I see what you mean. The melodic interval in terms of, yeah. Well, in a melodic interval is when we got the tune and one note follows the other. Harmonic interval will be playing them at the same time. Okay. Right, now, come back into Mariko's comment here. You think it's a diminished sixth. Again, here is a major sixth from G to E. The interval we had on the first bar was a perfect fifth, A to E, and then a major sixth is G to E. If you make a major interval a semitone smaller, which is the note we've got, it doesn't become diminished. Anyone who's done their grade 5 theory should be able to answer. If you make a major interval smaller, you get a, give you a second to answer, minor. Okay, a minor interval. Caught you out a little bit there. Right, now, one more question before we wrap up this particular live stream. You got in there, but maybe your internet connection wasn't quite quick enough before I actually told you the answer, Mariko. So well done, it is a minor sixth. Right, finally, we are going to talk about modulations. That is another, I think it's grade 7 in ABRSM. Okay, the second half of the piece is in a different key to the first half. It's modulated to a new key. Can you tell me whether the modulation was to the dominant, the subdominant, the relative major, or the relative minor? Okay, here we are again. Final playthrough. Last bit of that phrase because that starts to modulate again. Did you modulate from the first half into the second half into the dominant, the subdominant, the relative minor, or the relative major? And Mariko again, first in with the correct answer, the relative major. So you get the prize there. Okay, now this style of live stream was a little bit different to last week's, where I concentrated on one particular topic. I think it was about recognizing time signatures, and I went through the various grades, but just concentrating on time signatures. This week, I've used one piece and tried to use it for a variety of different questions, as many different questions I can link to the piece as possible. So if you could let me know, even if it's after this video has finished, what style of live stream was better for you. I'd be happy to hear your comments so that you can also maybe participate next time in these live streams, and it'll be more adapted to what's useful for you and what you find the most helpful. Whether you prefer that I use one piece and ask a myriad of questions on the one piece, as many different types, or we concentrate on one particular topic. And if that is a particular topic that you want, say which particular topic. Okay. Also, if you just happened upon this live stream and you're not subscribed but you've enjoyed it and found it useful, please do subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you'll know when the next live stream will be. It is planned for exactly 2 weeks today at 2 o'clock British time on Sunday the 20th of May. Now I'm going to put a questionnaire out on the community tab of my channel if this time is the best time for all of you, and if some of you would think that, okay, I would suit 7 o'clock British time better than 2 o'clock or whatever time. And we'll have a little poll, and whatever gets the highest percentage, maybe I might adjust the time. But the day will be in 2 weeks' time on a Sunday, and hopefully I'll get to see you then. Don't forget to hit that notification bell in the, where is it? Below the video, around there. Little bell icon, because even if you're subscribed, YouTube doesn't notify you of all videos unless you hit the notification bell. So if you want to be involved in the next live stream, do so. Okay, as I said at the beginning, we have a new way of showing your support for MusicOnline. As you can see, this particular Senyo t-shirt is available for you to buy in various different colors as well. Check out the link in the description below this video, and hope to see you all next time for another live stream of ABRSM Aural Training. Thank you very much for participating, and goodbye.